Aloha, this is Santa Surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Monday, July 7th, 2025. How was your 4th of July Independence Day OBBB celebration weekend? I hope you had a really, really nice weekend. I'm going to cover a couple of the elephants in the room so that we can all get up we can kind of get updated on what's going on. Thanks so much for joining us on santasurfing.locals.com. We have lives twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, so we all join and have a really great conversation. Also, if you ever want to find me, if something ever happens to any of the accounts, you know how it goes. You can always find me here under the links page on Beach Broadcast News and on the radio stations, because it's just a lot of effort to put a lot of stuff out. I'm only going to do a show on Fridays, recapping everything on my radio station and on, I still have OOBTube, but I didn't put it up here, on my radio station and on OOBTube. So the title of today's post is Gavel Time, OBBB Nuggets, False Flags, Tariffs Destroy Dirty Congress's Side Deals. And that's why it's big. So President Trump, he signed the bill. It was so fantastic. And then he came downstairs and he dropped the gavel. I want to I'm going to leave these two NESARA post up on this article page for today because some people need to get caught up. You were on vacation, took some time off with family, which is awesome. So there's a NESARA and JUSARA, they're acts done by Trump and his team. So they're all proofs from Trump and his team. It's not NESARA and JUSARA coming from me, from surfers, from Anons, it's coming directly from President Trump and his team. There's parts 1 and parts 2. And if you ever want to find any of our sponsors, they're always on the article page. Okay, so let's kind of dive in. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, there's the Epstein client list, the Elon new party, and the false flags. Only one media outlet came out with the Epstein client list. There is no client list, and the DOJ and the FBI have closed the Epstein case. Well, if you take a look, I just want to cover this for just a few minutes, not even that. Okay, so Carolyn Levitt is addressing the elephant in the room. I'm going back to the Epstein list because the report was saying that there is no client list. Check this out.
Sure. Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network, on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad...
So that's addressing the elephant in the room, but also remember what Q says. There's 5 Q posts that says flight log. Flight log, wheels up, flight logs classification 1 through 99 under investigation by FBI, DOJ. So Carolyn Levitt is talking about the entire case, the entire documents, the files. She has to be evasive, I imagine, for a reason. Here's an Anon posting the flight log, and Q reposted that, and here it is talking about some bad people. Again, you know, I don't like talking about this stuff here. Flight log reveals many hidden artifacts. And then here is a picture of Bill Clinton and others. Flight log reveal many hidden artifacts. One is pushing for a new party, not a party like party, but he's pushing for a new party. Folks, I will say this, the MAGA is a movement. We are people, we are here, we work, so we wear a coat of armor, we fight every day, we do digs, we do a lot of things. The Constitution does talk about one party, and it's called the Party of the Republic. Not Republican, not Democrat. It's Party of the Republic. That's all it mentions in the Constitution. So Elon running with that again. I'm just again staying away from all the drama on that because that's exactly what it is. But is it so the white hats see who has the spine, who's really going to stand strong for President Trump, for MAGA, for our movement to get us to where we need to go, right? Starting a new party is just going to totally just distract. In my humble opinion, you decide. And then the false flags that are going on right now in Texas and then now in North Carolina and then in Hawaii on the island of Oahu. There's a fire out there, not as big as a fire that happened in Lahaina, Maui. There's a new flood in North Carolina, and then the flooding continues, or it had continued over the weekend in Texas. President Trump sent his response team out, and he also sent out DHS, Kristi Noem, out to Texas immediately, and he's given it quick and fast attention to the point where Marjorie Taylor Greene introduces a bill that prohibits the injection, release, or dispersion of chemicals or substances into the atmosphere for the express purpose of altering weather, temperature, climate, or sunlight intensity. It will be a felony offense. I've been researching weather modification and working with the Legislative Council for months writing this bill. It will be similar to Florida Senate Bill 56. We must end the dangerous and deadly practice of weather modification and geoengineering. Thank you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is addressing the elephant in the room, things that you've already been talking about, right? So we know it's real. We know it exists. Now she's introducing a bill to stop it. I'll tend to go to Ildonado's post just to get a little bit of confirmation. You know how he does post things and in a comical, humorous way. Well, he was not really active on Twitter yesterday or anywhere yesterday. And so, I was one that kept refreshing the page because I was posting some stuff about the Epstein list, and then I ended up taking it down because it was just more of a clarification issue. But he posted, Pappy takes a break for 1 minute and this platform goes to heck. He posted this, that he is on his way to time to get those deals done. So here are some of the deals. President Trump is posting, he's sending out letters to the many, many nations that he is working out deals, last minute deals, because the deadline is on Wednesday, and that's a big day. So this is for Myanmar. And down here it says, if for any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise them by, will be added onto the 40% that we charge. Oh my God. He has sent out another one. And this is for Pretoria in South Africa. He will add 30%. That is then what they would charge. Oh my gosh. Kazakhstan, 25%. Kuala Lumpur, 25%. He is not messing around at all. So let me talk a little bit about the tariff and the trade deal, guys, because this is really big, because tariffs, they played a significant role in the economic history of the United States. Their impact on the nation's overall wealth has been nuanced. In the early years of the Republic, tariffs were a primary source of federal income, accounting for 50 to 90% of the federal income between 1798 and 1913. Now, we talked about this on part 2 of the Nasara Jasara podcast from Friday. The revenue was crucial in funding the operations for the federal government and in paying off debts accumulated during the Revolutionary War. So in 1913, well, isn't that the year that the Federal Reserve, not federal, no reserve, not a federal agency, non-government agency was formed, right? And all those deals, all these tariff deals went by the wayside. And we know that the elites worked with dirty politicians to go ahead and work out sweet deals with the different nations. From a lot of research that I've done, they worked out sweet deals with the other nations. And in lieu of collecting tariffs, they opted to go ahead and charge income tax, which happened to be at the same time that the dirty federal illegal illegal, unconstitutional, non-government agency, Federal Reserve, was formed. So they did shift the tariffs to income taxes. It was not a direct replacement by Congress, blah, blah, blah. It's trying to protest, saying that Congress didn't have a lot to do with it, but it had some impact, not all impact. Either way, it got switched. And it got switched because the multi-billionaire elites back in 1913, they wanted to go ahead and control us. And so from the time that you and I were born, unless somebody is 112 years old, from the time you or I were born, we were living under the financial slavery system and didn't know anything different. So from what I've read, people or nations that live under a tariff-rich environment or have a sovereign wealth fund, the people of that country, they do very, very well. But one of the reasons Congress is opposed to this, the dirty Congress, I will say, is opposed to the tariffs, is because they know their sweet deals are done. They know that they can't work out a sweet deal with one country and saying, okay, we'll just charge you 0.2% tariffs. And you can charge us 25, 30% tariffs. That's not a problem because our federal income taxes will pay for all of that. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? They know everything is getting. President Trump is just there. These dirty people will be so broke they can't even pay attention. Get that? They are going to be that broke. Okay, so it ties in with this post Q3387, and this YouTube video you see, this link up here, that was that video of President Trump where he starts with our movement, and it is the video that got President Trump elected, but how it's taking down the dirty swamp. But listen carefully again. So I'll go ahead and play this at the end of the video. Note the past 2 years. So the past 2 years would be from 2017, July 9th to 2017, which is when he started his world tours. Note next 6 years, which would be this Wednesday, July 9th. You were told what was going to happen. You were told what battles we faced, strategic, pre-planned, patriots in control. So here are the 50 big wins for we the people and the big beautiful bill. But what was hard to find is all the justice stuff, all of the stuff that Tom Homan can use, or Scott Bessent can use, or that Howard Lutnick can use, or Paul Atkins can use, or Kristi Noem. We don't know what's in the bill. It's like 1,000 pages. So we don't know what we don't know. So we don't know really what to search for, right? I just happened to stumble across an article, and it led me to one of the sections in the bill, and I thought, oh my goodness. So I'm going to share that. This is really where it gets big. President Trump, before I get any further, you remember the gavel that he pounded when he signed the bill? And yes, I do believe we're going to have a full 1 year celebration. We are going to have a full 1 year of still doing digs and comms. I really do believe that, because he cannot release all of the things that he's going to do he's going to have greatness for us on one side, and then he's going to have a lot of justice stuff on the other side. So he's got to go ahead and keep us focused. But when President Trump, he signed the bill, everyone was congratulating him. And then Mike Johnson goes into his envelope and pulls out the gavel. I'm going to get to that part towards the end of this podcast. That was a little juicy, interesting. So President Trump takes the gavel and he starts, look at this. It was a gavel that was used when they were having their vote on the House floor to pass the bill. And I thought that was interesting how President Trump, he takes the gavel and he pounds it. He just pounds it once, and then he pounds it five times. So he had pounded it 6 times. Okay. So it tells me, is there going to be some stuff it's going to be happening? And I'm going to get a little bit more into this comment in a few moments. So stay with me on this, guys. Okay. Because this is something that happened over the weekend. So a lot of people were traveling. They weren't really paying attention to a lot of stuff. They probably didn't want to read the news because they were very excited about the OBB bill passed and all that. So it is hammer time. Operation Midnight Hammer is bigger than what we expected. The gavel. President Trump, he was thrilled to sign the bill, and then he pounded a gavel after his signing. Now, he can now make moves without the liberal special interest groups interfering. Because of this, SCOTUS ruled back in June 27th of 2025, that judges cannot file an injunction to stop President Trump's policies, executive orders, deportation, etc., etc. Those are the judges. But what about all of the liberal minions that are like, oh, I could still file TRO, I could still do something? Okay, well, think about those justice cases coming up. Think about all of them against the swamp. Or think about how President Trump still needs to do a little cleaning up with the justice system and the courts, right? He still needs to do some things. So he's got to time everything right. But now, let's say the liberal courts are still open. The dirty justice system or dirty judges are still sitting there. What this bill says is what it had this liberal Daily Kos, KOS, media. They were losing their minds. They were like, what? Okay, you can read that article. It's right here. Okay. They were losing their freaking minds because this is, in sum, what happened. Bottom line is the courts and the liberal plaintiffs used to have control to file a TRO, temporary restraining order, or sue Trump or his administration or his Justice Department from doing things to clean up the deep state or dirty Congress, which we'll call the swamp. SCOTUS ruling, we know that is for the judges, but now that this OBB bill is now law, special interest groups that want to protect the swamp have very, very little standing. It goes like this. And I had to read the article, I had to read the law, and I was reading it both, and I was like, okay. And the article sums it up. According to this article, they need to pony up with a sizable bond, and then they can try to pursue. Okay, that's number one. This is brilliant. But also the bottom line is if the courts, so let's say they file a TRO, and let's say the judge says, well, Trump can't do anything until this gets heard. And maybe he's going to prolong the hearing for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Usually has to be within 10 days. But, the dirty judges, they get away with stuff. It isn't like that anymore. If you want to file a TRO, you got to pony up some money, and then you got to go ahead and file. But if for some reason it is what President Trump is doing, which we know he's doing, is constitutional and or legal, which all of it that he's going to be rolling out is one and or the other. It doesn't matter what the judge rules. It doesn't matter if they say, oh, we're going to favor the plaintiffs, the liberal plaintiffs, because it says in this bill, Trump can still go ahead and ignore that ruling and move on with his America First agenda. The constitutional, the legal agenda, and nothing. And when President Trump, when Q says nothing can stop what is coming, nothing can stop now. Now it's official. Nothing can stop President Trump. So then Joe Biden, he calls the OBB bill reckless and cruel. He's all wah. All right. Is it because his puppet masters cannot fund a lawsuit against President Trump when the Biden crimes become public? Obama hasn't posted for a while. So if an attempt to file a TRO or file something on Trump's Justice Department to take any legal action, it gets squashed because of that OBB bill. Okay, so that's why it's reckless and cruel, because when Trump starts to make his power moves, this is really going to come into play. Again, it's how I look at it, and you decide, is that these liberal courts aren't going to have a lot of say-so now because this law stands, right? Here's a very short list of the Biden crime family. Remember, the Biden auto pen scandal is heating up. 2020 election fraud investigation is spiraling, right? Many people that lost their security details, security clearances, including law firms, they are probably in freak-out mode. Imagine what will happen when President Trump unleashes that justice. After President Trump, he signed this, he was given a gavel, and then he pounded it several times. Was it a message that justice is coming for the swamp, right? Okay, come on. Do you ever see a president holding a gavel? Okay, no, I haven't. So here he is holding the gavel, and then he's pounding it. It is no coincidence that Alligator Alcatraz has opened up just days before the OBB bill was signed and became law. So DeSantis, he deputized the National Guard and quote unquote other folks to expedite trials. Are you with me on this here? So, meaning that they can go and expedite trials. These liberals can't say, oh, I got to file a TRO. He can't do that. No, it's going to still continue. They're going to still move on. They're still going to go ahead and face their justice. Nothing's going to get in their way now. Now, deputizing the National Guard and other folks at Alligator Alcatraz, now let that sink in. That gives the National Guard and these other quote unquote folks tremendous amount of power. How were they deputized? What were they deputized as? Were they deputized as not just a guard that can make arrests on the spot? Are they also, maybe some of these other folks are lawyers that are patriotic lawyers? Were they deputized to not just only become the legal person behind this, but also or make arrests? Again, we don't know the extent of that, but ICE and Border Patrol under the OBB bill is so well, they're given a tremendous amount of funding. And it also includes a $10,000 bonus annually to them over the next 4 years. And that's how big the ICE and Border Patrol is. Now, they talk about controlling our elections because of not getting the illegals in here. Trump is really working hard to put that kibosh on that. Also, to ultimately remove the sex and human and drug and weapons trafficking from these other countries. And of course, getting all the thugs in here, right? He doesn't want that. Remember, Washington, D.C. is not a state. It was a district formed for the dirty government to run its illegal and unconstitutional activity. Because it's not a state, we know that Alligator Alcatraz, it's not a state. Is it a foreign nation? Are they getting deported? Okay. Are you with me? Are they getting deported? They have to go through Alligator Alcatraz legal system where they have 1 to 2 day trials and then boom, their decision's made and off they go. That doesn't say there's a jury trial. These are quick trials. So again, quick trials, military trials, you think about that, you can decide. Interesting that President Trump, the president of El Salvador, wished America a very happy Independence Day on July 4th. Then, moments later, look what he posted. He posted this on July 4th. The best prison system in the world. Over 48,000 inmates. Not all are remain work to reduce their time, and they have 6,500 inmates working in textile production, where they produce up to 600,000 garments per month. In shoemaking workshops, estimated 6,000 estimates produce 150,000 pairs of shoes each month. This is a functional. It is a don't sit back and you don't sit and watch TV kind of prison. They have to work if you want to reduce your time. Renovating schools across the country. Other inmates, they're working in different commissions to carry out fumigation for insect control, hospital maintenance, reconstruction. Imagine how effective and how big this is, right? And that's what the Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, has developed. Even turned them into farmers. Plus, they can also get an education on trades, so that it positions them so that when they are out, they can actually go ahead and get a job somewhere. So they're getting skills that are so needed in the real world. But the bigger message was President Bukele, was he actually trolling? Was he actually telling the thugs, look what you could look forward to? Remember, President Trump said that he will send the thugs that take pipes and beat up people, innocent lives. He will take them and put them into a different country and see how they like it. So President Trump, he's truly ready to unleash the greatness. Now, he's got to go through some rough patches. We all know how that works, right? In order to get to the greatness, the people and ultimately the world is going to benefit from this. And the left, the dirty media, will do all in their power to downplay the greatness, make up memes, make up fake documents, do whatever they need to do. Since any of their lawsuits and TROs, the liberals, TROs will be viewed as basically a nothing burger in court, because it's not going to carry a lot of weight, because President Trump can still go ahead and do what he needs to do. It gives him a chance to roll out the plan to make the people of the world prosper. And that's really what he wants, right? Now, there's the video in this is at 23:40. If you look at the post on this, it's a 23:40 military time. And that is right here, Q2340, because Trump had to expose and get the courts cleaned. Right? He's still doing that. SCOTUS and ruling gives Trump the power to carry forward his policies and agenda. And the liberals and swamp attempts to file a TRO against Trump is pretty much a nothing burger. So get ready. And it says D-class coming, narrative shift in full force. UK, Australia assisted rogue elements of the government to take down a duly elected candidate president. Are they talking about President Trump? right? Again, we have the 2020 election fraud that's coming out. So, and don't forget this, that dropped too, the lab leak on the COVID scandal. And there's so much more that's going to be coming out. So we're going to be seeing it in drip, 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 but we're going to be seeing it the way President Trump wants to go ahead and roll all of this out, right? Now, just take a look at what President Trump, or what the little calm we saw. I'm going to start with this video from the Papa Bush funeral back in 2018, which was heavily, heavily military guarded. President Melania Trump were the last ones in, and then this is when all of these swamp rats, from the Clintons to the Obamas, received the envelopes. So again, they all received an envelope. Jimmy Carter was looking for his, but he didn't get one. The Bushes got one, and that's when Jeb Bush, remember we saw this and he just kind of fainted. Biden got one. The Pences got one. So they're the envelopes. Here's Obama, and they had to take a second look and try to play it cool. And then Karen Pence, there's her envelope right there. You see it? Hang on. The Pences are dirty, by the way. See it right there? Okay. So the Pences got one. So that was it. Nothing can stop what is coming. Well, this is what I found interesting. So I'm going to play this part for you about President Trump. He's signing the bill.
Mr. President, this is the gavel we use to enact the big, beautiful bill, and I want you to have that for your
Are we ready?
Gavel is in.
Are you ready? Good. Have a good time.
Are you with me? Are you reading my mail? Are you reading President Trump's mail? Mike Johnson could have had one of his assistants, his staffer, give it to him. No, he had to make it very obvious. He had to pull it out of an envelope. All right, he had to go pull it out of one of those envelopes, a legal envelope. And then he gives it to President Trump, or a folder, you want to call it folder, envelope, whatever it is. He had to give it to Trump. So is it that justice? We're going to start to see that in the next coming year ahead of us, right? Because we've waited this long, we can wait another year, right? I always say that, but there's always something big that goes on. Well, we know that President Trump has had this in the works for a very, very long time. It's kind of odd I can't get that video to play, so I'll drop that in the comment section as well. But President Trump has been posting, and Dan Scavino as well, stealth bombers. Again, they're making stealth moves. They have to do certain things a certain way to get both sides, everybody to kind of go into freak out mode or to get distracted while he's doing something very big that's going to be very good for us. We know every move he makes is going to be for the good of the people of not just here in this world or this country, but it's for the people for around the world. So let's just trust in God and trust that he is going to be working through President Trump to get things done the right way. I just ask that we just stand by President Trump with whatever move he makes so that he has our crowd support while he's making these big military moves. But it looks like he is going to be moving in very stealth mode. So we may not know anything. We may not see a lot of posts, but we know a lot of things are going to be happening behind the scenes. Thanks so much for being such a warrior. Oh my gosh, I really appreciate all your fight. We still have a little bit more because it's a 1-year celebration. So let's just enjoy the ride and enjoy the journey together. God bless you so abundantly. Have a beautiful day, afternoon, evening, and I will have a show very soon. Aloha.